Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Very, very good. I'll call the February 6th meeting of the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors to order at this time. All supervisors are present via Zoom, which would be Mr. Roger Rutt and myself. All other supervisors are present and also staff is present. If you would please join me in starting our meeting.
Is the 9th. I believe you said the 6th.
I'm sorry. Yes, I was reading too quickly on an old date. Yes, the 9th. Okay, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Let me just get my view here back. All right, before we start our meeting, I just will announce that we did as a board have an executive session for a legal matter before our meeting this evening. And first up on our agenda, public comment for non-agenda items only. And I'll just ask for a little bit of help as any hands are up.
Anyone for public comments for something not on the agenda? No hands.
No hands. All right. There'll be a chance for that feedback later in our meeting also. Next up, we have our consent agenda. As is our new procedures, we do post and make available all items on the consent agenda. Included in those are invoices to be paid and other regular business. I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
No move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Maybe you guys can help me with names.
Word. Second by Gallagher.
Okay. And we have a second by Mr. Gallagher. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Any revisions? Any corrections? If none, we'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
And aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up we have old business. And first up is to determine a hearing date for our township zoning text amendment. We did see initial pieces of this from Jacob Bowen. Tara, I'll let you comment.
So the board heard from Jacob, the director of planning and zoning, at your December meeting, and then the board also authorized the dissemination of the materials for review and comment at your January 19th meeting. And so in order to move that forward, a date could be set for either your March 16th regular board meeting or your April 6th regular board meeting.
All right, any other insights on those dates that make it help us make that decision, Tara?
So you do already have a hearing on the 16th at 5 p.m. This would be part of your regular agenda though, at 7 p.m.
Any motion from the board on a date for the township zoning text amendment hearing?
Perhaps, Mr. Chairman, the 6th would be a good time. April 6th.
Okay. Motion for Mr. Hayward for the 6th. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second. Gallagher.
And Mr. Gallagher with a second. Any discussion on that? It will be part of the regular meeting, but I have no opposition to that. All right. All in favor signify by saying aye for April 6th for our hearing date for the township zoning text amendment.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And I was an aye also. Motion carries. All right, next up, we have the Chick-fil-A land development. This was tabled from our January 19th meeting. Tara, additional insights?
Right, so the representatives from Interplan who represent Chick-fil-A have indicated that they have not had sufficient time to answer the question of how long the restaurant would be closed to move a utility pole or how long the restaurant would be closed to move a water line. So they've asked to be seen at your March 2nd meeting. We do have a time extension on this project until April 17th, so there is plenty of time.
Right. I see no action that's necessary. Any other comment?
The action at your last meeting on the 19th was to table action to this meeting. So it should be.
Make the motion we table until the March 2nd meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion there to table the Chick-fil-A land development question until March 2nd. Any discussion on that? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will see that again on March 2nd. All right, moving on to new business. First up, we have the Lancaster Archery Land Development Plan. This could go a couple of ways on a discussion for deferral on road frontage improvements. Tara?
So there is representatives here of Lancaster Archery, but we did write this as new business and the discussion so that the board could take action if they chose so, or this could be an informal discussion that gives some direction to the applicant. That's up to the board.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, board members. My name is Dwight Yoder, attorney at Gibble, Craig and Hest, and I've been working with Lancaster Archery now for a number of years, and we certainly appreciate the partnership with the township. I'm just going to provide a little bit of an overview and background. I think most of the supervisors are familiar with this project, and then Craig Smith from RGS Associates is going to get into the nitty-gritty of the actual deferral request. But as you may recall, I'm not quite sure how long ago it was, but we went through a process to develop a new provision under the ordinance that allowed, we refer to it, I think, as an integrated business campus that provided a little flexibility. Lancaster Archery has been looking to expand. I think everybody knows Robin Carroll. Just raise your hand. Long time residents of the township. Their business just down the road. I'm sure everybody's familiar with it. They really wanted to stay in the township and have struggled to find space that's zoned properly for them to be able to do that. So after working with the township staff and Robin Carroll agreeing to give up the beautiful home that they own right beside their existing business, they have a plan to now be able to expand at their current location. And so we're moving forward with that. And again, we appreciate the township staff and the supervisors working with Lancaster Archery to figure out a way to allow them to expand there. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty of PennDOT and township engineer reviews and all of those things. And part of that involves road improvements and what's required under your subdivision land development ordinance and also some requests for potential deferrals of some of those improvements for what I think are reasonable reasons. And I'm going to let Craig kind of go over those. I know he had some nice presentation there, but before I do that, I just wanted to be sure that there weren't any questions that the supervisors had about kind of how we got here and what's being proposed. I think everybody's familiar with it, but I thought I'd just check before we get into the nitty gritty. If not, Craig, it's all yours.
Good evening, Craig Smith. I'm a principal at RGS Associates. And again, we're here tonight for the deferral request associated with the lot, with the frontage improvements, and not to, mix the approvals in this. We'll be back in front of this board with the land development plan. So this is just for the deferral. I think I'm going to start just by giving you an overview of the plan, because we do have that submitted. It's been through a couple of reviews with your township engineer. And up on the screen, you'll see a rendering of what's being proposed. And there's the blue building is a 2-story building, 34,500 square feet. And that will be a new, mostly retail building. And there's going to be some office space in there as well. The building that currently exists out there, that's the tan building on the northeast corner. That's going to be retained as well. And primarily for the academy, for the archery academy use. There's going to be some offices in that building as well. There's about 173 parking spaces that are proposed as a part of the project. And one of the other things we're doing, we're creating a new entrance onto Old Philadelphia Pike. And you can see where that's happening just west of the blue building, the new building. That's currently under review by PennDOT under a highway occupancy permit that's again being reviewed by PennDOT. So as a part of the project, there's about 7 acres that was consolidated where the improvements are being shown. So if you look at the rendering and then the site that's to the west, there's kind of like an L-shaped lot. That's a 7-acre lot. That's lot 1. That's where the improvements are proposed. Another part of the project, because some lots were consolidated, there's a subdivision that's happening. As you go further west, you can see where it says proposed lot 2. That's a residential property. Currently has a house and garage on it. Further west is lot 3. And then you actually, where the graphic is kind of faded, there's 2 properties in between that the developer does not own. And then go further west, proposed lot 4 is a vacant lot. And then proposed lot 5 is another residential lot that exists with a home on it as well. So technically speaking, that's all part of the project because of the lot consolidation, because of the subdivision. One thing to point out, lot 1 is contained within the light industrial zoning district. All of the residential lots are within the R2 district. So as a part of the PennDOT improvements, and I don't know if you can pan down just a little bit, that would be helpful. Thank you. There's going to be a left turn lane that's warranted. So as you're heading in an eastbound direction, there's a left turn lane. We're proposing what's called a symmetrical widening, meaning there's going to be improvements on the site side and the opposite side to accommodate that left turn lane. As you look at that gray area, those improvements actually taper back to the existing condition. There's curbing that's proposed along the stretch of lot 1, and there's also a sidewalk that's proposed along lot 1 as well. That frontage on lot 1 is about 460 linear feet. So if you go further west, again, as a part of the project, lot 2, 3, and then you skip over to 4 and 5. That area within the R2 residential zone, that's the area that we're requesting a deferral of the frontage improvement. So your subdivision land development ordinance requires some widening, curbing, and sidewalk along the frontage because it's a part of the property, part of the project. And we're requesting deferral only of those westernmost lots that are in the R2 district. If you flip to the other exhibit, please, and kind of take a look at. So we put together a graphic that helps explain a couple of things. And if you can zoom in sorry, I keep telling you to do stuff, but zoom into the plan area, which is where the kind of the white tags are along the road frontage. You can see there are red lines that are drawn across there. So we estimated about how much widening would be required. Right now, there's a shoulder. We would require, or we would propose the pavement requirement would be another couple of feet. There would be curbing that would be put in. There's a 5-foot grass strip that would be a part of the requirements as well, and then a 5-foot sidewalk. And so as you're looking at that graphic, if you zoom into the lower left-hand corner, that kind of, yeah, the 3-dimensional, we can get close into that. There you go, thank you. So this is a view, and what we did was we going from west to east, and you can get a view of kind of the first property that would be required to do these frontage improvements. And you can see with the red lines, again, just a simple graphic. The first line represents where the curb line would be. There's a grass strip that would be required. And then the other line would represent the sidewalk. You can kind of see what's happening there. And, you know, the point being, there would be a lot of impacts to these properties. If you go to number 2, this is the property, again, looking to the east. This is one of the properties that the applicant does not own. And if you look at the red line going here, you would have a fire hydrant relocation or utility pole relocation. There's a nice landscape bed in the front yard of this particular home. And the 2 lines that are the upper portion represent the sidewalk, essentially the sidewalk right to them. There'd be amount of driveway, and this is all listed in your letter, but there'd be amount of driveway around 15 feet or so. That would be lessened because of the proposed improvements. And then you kind of see the white fence that would have to be, portion of that would have to be removed as well. And then if you slide to the right a little bit, this is actually looking the opposite direction. This is looking west at the property, again, that they don't own. And you can see, again, what's happening here, the widening, the grass strip, the sidewalk, the shortening of the driveway. And again, for lack of a better term, it's sidewalks kind of coming right through their front yard. So this is the primary reason we're asking for a deferral, is to not propose something that's simply going to make a big impact on just the residential properties. It's worth noting that the nearest sidewalk to the west is actually about a third of a mile away. That's down at the villas, the apartment project down there. There's actually 25 properties in between the last property here and that villa property. And we understand frontage improvements are required. Originally, we came in with a waiver request and we met with township staff. We realized that's really not an option, and that's fine with the developer. But we think the deferral is the right thing to do to avoid impacts unnecessarily to these properties. And then to also create a situation where you have a sidewalk that comes to the end of the property that goes to nowhere. Understand the ultimate goal to get with the deferral. And of course, subject to an agreement with the township. That's the right way to approach this. So there's assurances these improvements could be done at a certain point in time, but we're asking just not now. The other factor in this is we're midway through PennDOT. And one of the things we don't want to do, obviously, we go back to square one and not say, okay, we're going to do these improvements. As we talked at the staff meeting, we think it's a good idea. This is going to be treated as a separate project. So we'd be back with a design. We worked with the township and submit plans for another HOP for the future improvements. So there's things in place in the future should other improvements ever come from the western direction. And the township would have the ability to then enact that particular HOP. And that's really the approach. So that in a nutshell is what we're proposing here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good overview. And I'm new, so there's history that I'm coming up to speed on, and it's exciting to see. I want to make sure I've understood this correctly, because if I know Uncle Leroy's Candy Kitchen, I mean, their home and their pool becomes overflow parking. Am I seeing it right?
That's being removed. Uncle Leroy's is being removed.
Okay.
And it'll be pretty much in the footprint of.
Yes. And really the purpose of that, I'm sure you're familiar with going by the property. People that don't know Old Philadelphia Pike,
Right.
you don't know they're back there. And I know there's a sign out there. However, having that street front and present is key to really their business operations.
You do more than, the real beauty is the archery, not the candy.
Right.
And I'm new to this, so I guess our current rules require that this extension be done on all these non-owned properties. Because that's, if we're gonna widen it here, we have, from a safety standpoint, we have to do that. Is that?
So your, what we call the SALDO, subdivision land development ordinance, all these terms, but essentially only for the properties that are owned by the Kaufholz. So there is not anything we can do on private property not owned by us.
Okay,
The township would either have to reach an agreement with those folks or condemn it to do that. And part, I think what we were thinking was, even if we put this in now on the properties that the Kaufholz own, there's two there in between. And so now you're getting this kind of patchwork of.
thank you. So lot 5, lot 4, proposed lot 5, 4, 3, 2 are all owned. It's the two that shaded that aren't. Is one of those a carving guy? Never mind.
One thing to point out, and I missed this, is where the sidewalk's going to end up is actually outside and not right away. So again, we're talking about.
Okay.
Access easements.
And Robert, one of the things that the township in the past has done is there's a lot of deferrals out there, and it's the right way to come up with a community that looked planned rather than have these hopscotch sidewalks and everything. So the developer, in my opinion, is doing the right thing here. So we don't have this hopscotch approach to roadside sidewalks and things like that. So even though this may be 25 years until this is completed, and that number's totally yes, at least we have an option to go in and complete something that looks like it was designed at one point in time.
Thank you for that context, Roger, and I was anticipating that. I appreciate your working with me as a newbie. One other clarifying question. The waiver really just says a future time.
Deferral.
No. Oh, excuse me. The deferral says a future. I'm sorry. You're choosing a deferral rather than a waiver. You're doing what Roger was saying is really, it isn't, the time isn't perfect now, but it creates an awkward look and ridiculousness. You're not running from that responsibility. You're just saying it doesn't make good practical sense to do it now, but you're committing that we'll do it in the future.
So look, it also serves as a safety concern because no one puts curb out there and then has two properties that don't have curb and then put curb again, right? That's a safety issue as well as you're driving on the roadway. In the past, the township has worked with in-between landowners, like these two properties that are grayed out here, to secure easements to then have the project a complete project.
Thank you. I have an understanding.
The other thing I would note is there's typically a standard deferral agreement. So there would be a note on the plan, but there'd also be an agreement that gets recorded so that it runs with the land. So, you know, to the extent there's, you know, future owner, you know, 20, 30, 40 years, they would still have that responsibility. So there's protection on the township side that it's going to be there when needed. And I would note too, at the staff meeting, we talked a little bit about is a concrete sidewalk the right thing, or there could be a different approach that may make more sense in light of the landscaping and improvements that a lot of these houses have. So that would also give an opportunity to explore that once some of these other easements are.
I agree with that. And further down west on 340, there is a macadam. And there's actually a macadam path on both sides of 340, if you look closely. And which serves the same purpose of having a pedestrian pathway that's off of Old Philadelphia Pike.
Here, if I'm hearing everyone clearly, I'm sensing Lancaster Archery is being very thoughtful and encouraging to both the township, to their desires, and they've gone above and beyond what is typical. Would that be just, or would that be, maybe I'm saying, put words in your mouth, but I think we're going in the right direction.
Or Lancaster Archery is required to put in the improvements, unless the board fully waives them, which township staff said, we've been working at this corridor for a long time to get these kinds of improvements. So really a deferral is the better route than a waiver.
And just curious, are there some of the homeowners with you tonight that this would affect? And you would agree that a deferral makes sense to you? There's no reason to have a sidewalk going through your flower beds.
I'm over here dying. No, I don't want a sidewalk in my yard. My yard is not big enough for a sidewalk. I sit on my porch and I love that peaceful time on my porch. To put a sidewalk in, I would probably be able to reach out and shake their hand. I don't want that. I feel like we've lived there since 1988 and my kids grew up there. They don't need a sidewalk. They were just fine. So I feel like we don't need one.
I will say though, that there have been deaths along 340 in this general vicinity of pedestrians. And so that is a significant concern for the township.
But I don't see how putting a sidewalk in would make that. I know the people that have gotten hit on our road. Most of the people that get on 340 is more down near the Amish area, not up on 340 where I live. The people that I do know have gotten hit on 340 is because they're crossing the road. It's not because they're walking along the road.
I think it makes sense for a deferral. If you were connecting two finished pieces, that makes sense. But in this case, you're really not accomplishing much at this time. So I think my position would be a deferral.
My position is a deferral also.
Agree with that.
So
I do.
if we're just at the level of discussion, Tara, and informing, obviously Lancaster Archery as they continue on with the plan development, is that could be sufficient feedback for?
That could be sufficient feedback at this time. You're going to see the plan before you. A few of them.
Yeah.
Modification.
Obviously, it's the board's decision. We're aware of that. It would be helpful to have, if the board is in favor of this, it'd be helpful to have that decision tonight, if you're willing. Only because we're well into the project. I'm actually at the planning commission tomorrow night for discuss the plan. Then we'll be back in front of this board. Again, up to the board, but it would be helpful to get that direction. So if I have to go back to PennDOT, that's enough.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in favor of deferral as well as a newbie, but I'm defer to what your recommendation is. But I think the board's unanimous in deferral is the option to go for.
Would anyone like to make a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion that we're going to defer the frontage improvements on the residential properties for number 2025-26 Lancaster Archery Land Development Plan.
Okay, Mr. Gallagher with the motion. Is there a second?
Roger with the second.
And
Hey,
Mr.
Mike.
Rudd with a second.
We all seconded it.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. Any opposed? And motion carries.
Thank you.
Looking forward to that project continuing and very exciting. All right, next up, let me just make sure I'm scrolling correctly. our supervisor discussion items, the tow policy and false alarm fees, I think, are still in committee. Is that right, Tara?
That's correct. So the false alarm fees will be discussed again at the Emergency Services Committee meeting in March, and the chief of police has formed a committee to discuss the tow policy. That includes tow companies, both that are currently on the list and are not on the list currently of preferred towers.
And just for the board's understanding, I believe, and Mr. Rutt, you were part of this. You know, we're looking at rates. We're looking at the capabilities of the towing companies based on the type of accidents they have to respond to, and maybe some other related items. Would that characterize that, Tara?
I would agree with that, yes.
Okay.
Agreed. Yeah.
We'll await emergency services on some feedback. Next, the Park Foundation.
Right, so Lisa Cleveland the director of recreation, did reach out to PRPS, which is the Pennsylvania Recreational and Park Society, which had formed a foundation that could undertake smaller foundations, such as a municipal foundation for recreation programming. At this point, they don't have the wherewithal to take us on. And so we can continue to reach out to other foundations, or the board could take action to form its own foundation. Now, that will take time and energy and legal fees. So I know the board has been watching the budget significantly. And so that's something that should probably be discussed for the 2027 budget, if you choose to do that.
And Tara, could you just tell us quickly the history of the Police Foundation and how they were formed?
Right, so the Police Foundation was an action of the former Board of Supervisors to form that foundation in order to support the police officers in equipment and services that they may be in need of that the township budget does not contribute towards. And so the board authorized township staff to work with legal counsel in setting up that foundation. And then the board appointed the first board of the foundation. And now that has been operating for 2 years.
And that essentially would be the same process if I don't think we have any other foundations
That's correct.
related. Okay. All right. Any other comment on that? Okay. And next, related the discussion of the recreation region.
Right, so if everyone recalls, there's a recreation plan for Conestoga Valley as a whole, and that would include the Conestoga Valley School District, as well as West Earl Township, Upper Laycock Township, and East Lampeter Township. We had discussions about forming a recreational committee as a whole for all of that area. And through discussions, the two other municipalities had decided not to partake in that any further. So East Lampeter and the school district have an agreement to move forward with recreational programming. And that's worked really well. So well that we have 31 Upper Laycock residents that use our recreational programming and 22 West Earl residents that use our recreational programming. So both Lisa Cleveland, the recreation director, and Kim Peastrack, the assistant township manager, reached out to West Earl and Upper Laycock township managers and had a conversation with them about opening up the recreation programming to the entire area of Conestoga Valley. There was a agreement that those managers will continue to promote East Lampeter Township's recreation programs, but they weren't actively participating at this time.
Okay, well, I applaud that action that we took to talk to them. Again, keeping the topic fresh and, identifying the residents of our neighboring townships that are utilizing our program. So I think there's only good things that can come from that, but we'll have to wait and see.
That's correct.
Okay, next item on supervisor discussion items, information dissemination. I believe this one came about just to make sure that we are being as thorough as possible in getting information out to our citizens. Go ahead, Tara.
Yeah, so I think at the last meeting, at the January 19th meeting, I went over all of the ways in which we disseminate information to our residents and the general public. If there are other methods that you want the township staff to explore, please let us know that. But if this is a topic that we've covered and we can take off the list, that's up to the board.
I think maybe it would be wise to even put a blurb in every newsletter reminding people to check the website URL that has upcoming hearings or notices that could impact them. That just keeps it fresh in their mind that I need to keep this in mind if there's something that could be happening near my property and I don't know there's a meeting about it. Just it's a reminder, I think, and the more we can do that, the better. We don't have people surprised.
I would agree with that. And also, just like we took on in the last few years, newsletters about our fire departments, just highlighting those committees. Again, maybe that's been done, but just a real connector. I would use the Parks Committee as an example. These are discussions that are happening and encouraging the citizens to tune into those, in particular those that live in proximity of those parks. But it's just great for all of our citizens to understand what we have available and the decisions that are going on.
That's a good time for people to be involved in that early initial discussion process. That's a good idea.
Okay. And okay, sorry, I just moved my mouse here. And next item under discussion, cost savings to reduce our deficit spending. We have asked that this be really a continuing item on our agendas. We understand we're deficit spending. We understand we've had to increase taxes in order to begin to address that problem. But we're constantly looking for other ways to save costs. Tara, you want to highlight those?
Right, and so at each meeting, I've been trying to give you more ways that we're saving costs throughout the year, because we might budget in August through December, but really township staff is really looking at it all the time. And so the Public Works Department has noted that they do not need to purchase the mini hoe after all, which will be a savings of $103,000. They can make some adjustments so that it can last for at least another 2 to 3 years. So that's quite a savings because all of these pieces add up over time, right, throughout the year. And then the other piece that the Public Works came up with is not filling the current position. Now, we all know how this goes, though. That was a huge cost savings last year, was not filling 2 positions right away, but all of that work landed on other people that are already here doing another job. So that's, it can burn out people. So that means that all of the work that person would do in Public Works will be spread across the folks that are currently in the Public Works division. It's a savings based on salary and benefits of about $63,000.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you recall or do you know about how many hours they allow on equipment before they consider selling or trading?
It's very different for each piece of equipment. Now, I don't know if you've been out to the Public Works building lately, but our Public Works staff keeps really good maintenance records and takes really good care of our equipment. We have some trucks out there that are 20 years old. We typically don't come in and say we need a new truck every year by any means. They really take care of what they know the township provides them to do their job.
And those two items that you identified, they were budgeted this year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, so that would be 160,000 roughly of savings that we can talk about here February 9th. All right, any other items for supervisor discussion? Maybe new ones that you'd like added?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Just talk about cost savings. It would be fun in the coming months to maybe have, I'm not sure, I want to be careful as a newbie. I'm used to having a monthly financial statement, sort of a cash flow that shows dollars in, dollars out, and a rolling sort of 18-month evaluation from an economic standpoint. So before we get to budgeting near the end of the year, we would have some idea of both revenues, expenses, and the combinations of both. And I certainly appreciate what the township is doing in reducing expenses, but it would be good to set up a planning, and I would like to at least see us look every month on, hey, what's an income statement? How are we doing? You know, how are the funds doing? And I don't want to be burdensome, but I have some ideas that I think we could talk to township staff and say, these are things we get good information in the budget, but then looking at it before we get the budget again, I think would be helpful.
Tara, any reaction on that?
Talk with our finance director, Kevin Hostetter, about that information on a monthly basis.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Just knowing some of the talent that we have on the board now and in business operations and so forth and budgets, I think that could be very helpful as a team, really looking at it as a team.
Back to the equipment, just a quick question. So if we are in a jam, most equipment that's needed on a short-term basis, that's available to be rented close by. Is that correct?
That is correct. As well, Roger, we also work with our neighboring municipalities, and when we don't have a piece of equipment that's needed, we do share, and
Okay.
they with us.
I know they use our vac truck on a semi-regular basis, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That's a great partnership. Yeah, appreciate that. All right, moving on to our action items. The first is a resolution, the escalator clause for price adjustment for our materials we need for roads and other things. Tara?
So the escalator clause started for East Lampeter about 3 years ago. We started using that in the bid documents for paving materials and oil and chip materials. And that allows the contractor to come in with a bid that doesn't need to take into account the fluctuation in the oil market, which has quite honestly saved us money in the last 3 years.
Right.
I move we approve the escalator clause for price adjustment of bituminous material for small quantities.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye. Any opposed? And motion carries. Next item is a resolution involving the sewer planning module for the Greenfield North Lot 5 section plot.
So this should be familiar for those of you that have been on the board for a number of years. We've seen this resolution twice now, at least, and the reason is because the county did not provide us in a timely fashion their review, and so the dates were out of order, and DEP requires that the county review it and then the township. So we would kindly ask that you support the resolution again.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor for the resolution of sewer planning module for Greenfield North Lot 5, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye. Any opposed? And motion carries. Next, we have to set a hearing date for a liquor license hearing for Your Place, 2133 Lincoln Highway East. And that hearing date for March 2nd, 2026 at 7 p.m. during the regular meeting.
That's correct. You received an application to transfer a restaurant liquor license from the Revere Tavern to Your Place. And a transfer between municipalities needs to go before the Board of Supervisors for approval. So we did check with the applicant and applicant's counsel to make sure that that date works for them, and they too are in favor of that date.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion for the hearing date?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the hearing date for Your Place restaurant liquor license hearing March 2nd at 7 p.m. signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of changes to the Eastwood Meadows Residents Association bylaws. Some explanation, Tara?
Sure. So the Eastwood Meadows Association bylaws require that the Board of Supervisors approve changes to the bylaws. Now, this isn't generally common situation that we have here, and unfortunately dates far before my time here at East Lampeter Township. The last time that there was such a request for approval was 2014, and that was for one phase of the association, phase 3, I believe, and to pay different fees than the remainder of the association, and that was denied by the Board of Supervisors. Prior to that, I believe it was 2006 that there was a change in the bylaws. And I honestly can't tell you what that was. I wasn't a part of East Lampeter Township, and my research time was not dedicated to 2006. So I apologize for that. But I did find out that this change, I found out from Mr. Deibler, the counsel for the Residents Association, that this change is effective for all of the phases that he was representing. And I believe there are individuals in the audience representing the association. So any questions that you will have for them?
Okay, I can also start. This is most of the members of our board.
Okay.
My name is Ken. I've been the president of Eastwood Meadows HOA for 25 years. So everything that you talked about, there, I remember well.
Well before me. Great.
Anyhow, so the reason we're here is we have 154 homes in our development. Every time one of these properties comes up for sale, a listener jumps in and wants to buy it and rent it. We currently have somewhere around 35 rentals now. Just in the last few months, we've gained 3 more. So we want to cap it. We want to stop. We don't want a whole community out there full rental property. And that's what we're here for the township to approve. As far as the township, how they got involved in having to approve us is another story in itself. Most of your HOAs out here don't need that. We do. In the future, we're going to try to straighten that out somehow and get away from that. So we're not bothering you. What we're faced with out there is we have bylaws from that community when it was established in 1984 that we're using in 2026. So you can understand we need to upgrade that, we need to change that. And so anyhow, that's what we're here tonight for. We're asking the township to approve us to put a rental cap in that development to stop it. And that's what we're trying to do.
And so correct me if I'm wrong, but the association is asking for a cap of 35%, which is higher than what is currently being listed at.
Yes and no.
Okay.
We'd like to lower it. Keep that down. It wasn't, in 28 grams, but that's high. That's extremely high. I can give you an example. Oaks, for example, what is it, 7? They do 7 that they rent. And over there. So we want to decrease that. But at this point, if we can stop it now through the rental cap, a thing that we get, they're going to be required, these rental property owners, to get permits issued. They're going to be required to meet certain criteria. If they don't meet the criteria to continue to rent the property, we will deny them that rental permit. That will force the owner to be limited. Hopefully, it won't come to that, but in the event that it does, that's what we're thinking. We're going to reduce this down to a manageable number.
Okay, so when you say you're gonna reduce this, you're gonna reduce what's currently being rented, or you're going to reduce the percentage?
Well, I guess I'll say we're going to try to reduce what's currently being rented.
Okay,
Because we cap it, we can't go any higher. And that's part of it, that's half of it.
so, but the letter from your attorney indicates that the association has proposed to its members a maximum cap of 35%, which would limit the amount of rentals to 53.
Is it 35% or 35 properties?
Yeah, I don't know.
It says he,
As Tara said, 38 units with a request to go to 53. 38 would be 25%, which is typical. So certainly if the intent is to limit it to an absolute amount, that would be more consistent with what I'm hearing you guys say. Yeah. And so the letter gives a different perspective, which is where Tara is asking the question. Yeah, but what I'm hearing you all say is your desire is to limit it to the number that you have now and not have any more. Okay.
Was that unanimous with with your entire board?
okay, but that's not what was sent to your owners. What was sent to your owners was 35%, which would be 53 units.
Yeah.
That's what they voted on.
So I can answer that.
Okay.
I don't know why that would have happened.
And
But
So
And-
we'll need a clearer directive of what your association wants. Because if somebody comes in and buys a property and it's ambiguous whether that potential owner can rent or live in that unit, then you're at risk again.
So I'm only raising these questions because I do think that it would be better if there was, if you have 154 units total, 50 or whatever the number is, will be rented, right? Not 35, because you get into these remainders and do you round up or do you round down? And then the other question is you put out the request to your owners as 35% max, but what you are saying tonight is you'd like it less. So you have to go.
Behind that is when we were surveying all these associations, they were a lot lower than what our current number was. So we were thinking in line with everybody's around us, we want to reduce it. That was the reason why we thought it was a good idea to start with the reducing of.
So their best path forward would be to resurvey and revote to what they want as a board.
So you had two meetings, correct? And then the final vote came down to 35%.
Yes.
But tonight you're telling me you'd like it lower. So what is the board acting on tonight?
Tonight is for you to tell us, yes, we can stop rentals. You know,
Okay, the board can't tell you it's all together in your development. What the board could do tonight is agree with the changes that are made to the bylaws, which is at 35%. That's all they could potentially do tonight.
Do you wanna,
okay, yeah.
would you wanna come back to us with a new vote?
We could do that. We've been fighting this for over a year, and it goes back and forth. We can't do this, township's got to approve it. Can't do this, township's got to approve it. And what's going on out there in this time frame? People are selling, people are buying, that's what we're seeing. And what's the worst part is we have to go after these rental properties to comply, not only to HOA laws, but to township. We just had one property that I think had no trash. So for 2 months, they were throwing their trash bags in the backyard. This is a rental property, and it goes on with other issues. So we can do that, but our goal is our lawyers telling us, we're gonna stop. You guys can't stop nothing unless the township says you guys can do that. So we're trying to get to use whatever you need to make that decision.
Okay, so the only thing the board could act on tonight is the 35% proposed amendment to the bylaws and declarations and conditions and restrictions at 35%.
Does that, if I may, does that preclude our coming back again in the future to have that reduced to the level that they're envisioning right now?
It does not. It also doesn't preclude you from coming back, as your attorney has suggested, and asking the township to remove themselves from this process.
The challenge, and Tara has addressed it, if I apply the 35% to 154, it comes out to be 53.9, which, you know, is closer to 54 than 53. You can get into an argument there. I'm sensing and appreciating the perspective and the desire that you have. And I'm looking at the documentation that you've graciously provided with some of the challenges with previous renters that make your community less enjoyment to be in. This is a universal, across the United States concern with renting and verbos and, all that you've identified. Just one man's perspective, if you set it at 35, when your real intent is to limit it to units, you've opened the door to go higher. It's going to be harder. I've seen harder to go back than it is to come back and say, we need to make this change, get the approval from the homeowners association to an absolute number, and then we can approve it. Just a suggestion.
Just to put this out there, give you a better vision of what we're dealing with. We have properties that are owned by Chinese in China.
Yeah.
Their lawyers, they're never here. Properties are.
Oh.
I've got them in Russia. I've got them in California. You name it. And when you get these properties and you're trying to stay within the guidelines, not only with township, but with HOA, and you got to chase them all over the country. Let me tell you, that's a nightmare. I get ready. We're about ready to start.
I wouldn't encourage you to do that. I applaud your diligence, but we're with you.
whatever.
It's up to the board to decide whether or not they vote on the bylaw to 35%, but that's what they could act on.
Let me just ask this like, let's say it's 54. Between now and when this all settles out between us, and we get 6 people that have sold and are now renting, I'm already above that. What do I do with those people?
That's an HOA decision now. That falls to the HOA to make that determination. I would seek legal counsel.
I agree with you, Derek. Okay, well, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, to share attention, to kind of resolve it.
We can act on 35%, but it sounds like you might want to come back as soon as possible and maybe with a hard number that's lower or whatever your association feels. But we would be, Mr. Chairman, are you inclined for a motion to vote to cap rentals at 35% at this time, or would you like to table this?
Well, I think tabling is the better option, since you may have some residents that are unclear of a percentage or a solid number. The only thing I would say is, as a board, we're ordinance based. We don't want to be involved in people's, freedom to do as they need to, whether it's running their HOA or whether they're buying and selling. We want them complying with what we think are carefully constructed ordinances. But this issue that you have, you're experiencing it. I appreciate what you're saying completely. I just want to make sure your residents are in agreement with what you're proposing.
So, Mr. Chairman, they did do a survey and it noted in there that the maximum cap would be 35%. What was asked here tonight was that it be further reduced, and that can't be voted on by this board. What could be voted on by this board is the 35% at this point. They did follow all of the requirements for that potential bylaw change according to their bylaws.
Okay. I thought there was some question about that, but
There was question as to whether or not they were requesting the 35% tonight or
Yeah.
lower, because that's what was stated earlier.
I see. Well, if we as a board have to approve something, I'd want to make sure that it's crystal clear what you're asking us to do. We certainly can table and hear this again. I know that I feel that you're feeling the pressure on, hey, we have units that are, going for sale or in the process right away.
If the board chose to do so, they could take action on a bylaw amendment that sets them. I'm sorry, guys, but he can't hear me if you're talking. He can't hear me. What the board could take action on tonight is only the 35% maximum cap for rental properties. That's the only thing the board can take action on.
I think as the board, we're good with the 35%. We have no problem with that. And that's better than we got now.
And again, you're welcome to come back if you can get.
Exactly.
I would make a motion that we approve the changes to the Eastwood Meadows Residents Association bylaws, capping the rental units at 35%.
Okay, Mr. Gallagher with a motion. Is there a second?
I have one question. So currently there's only 38 units rented. Is that correct? Is there only 38 units rented currently?
That would be more. That was at the time of.
Yeah, that was
final meeting.
We just got 31, it's 42.
So, okay. So it's not like anybody being removed from
No,
homes.
no.
So you're seeing that growth in just 1 month.
Well, last year we just had 15 certified resale certificates.
So what I'm addressing is on the December 17th letter, it says 38. So here almost a month later, not quite a month later, we've got, what, 4 more?
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. Lapp. I know we've been discussing, but we will ask any further discussion.
Well, the challenge that I see, is it limited to 53 or 53.9? Because a 35% of 154 is 53.9, and in most rounding up goes to 54. I've seen better practice, but is this all phases? Is there any growth planned for in this development? Okay, so this is total of 154 units.
35%.
So how does the,
So the majority.
okay,
I'm hearing this is a stopgap until you can kind of come back together with a definitive number and then come back to the board. Is that what I'm gathering?
I think that's a good way to put that, Mr. Gallagher. Any further discussion?
That's it, I believe.
do you feel this will help you address the nature of your community, the concerns that your homeowners association and you have?
I do, I believe that. I do. We get a lot of permanent residents out there that have been there quite well. And we begin a lot of pushback from how they don't want these unattended rental properties beside them. And I totally understand that. And and the other thing with this is what we looked at is we get a young couple that comes in there. They're $200,000. They can afford them. So they put a bid in on them, usually small kids, single family. And these investors come in from God knows where, and they'll give them 50, 60,000 more than the asking price just to snatch them up. And it takes the first time home buyer right out of the equation. We're seeing that a lot.
Is it fair to say that the list that you've provided, they seem to be local owners that voted on this?
Yes.
Okay, so your majority that you were required come from people who wish to protect the community. Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the question? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor of establishing approving the Eastwood Meadows Residents Association bylaws to cap the percentage of units that can be rented at 35%. All those in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Our motion carries. Thank you for engaging in that discussion. Appreciate that very much. We wish you well. All right, next up, manager's report. Tara.
The township was scheduled to have the MS audit through PAD. However, due to the snowstorm, that was rescheduled to February 10th, tomorrow. So that will be happening. And then the forecast meeting is being rescheduled. And at the time of the development of the agenda, we did not have a date. However, we have a date now as March 4th. So we'll start to get that information out to everyone.
Great. All right. Next up, second chance for public comment, non-agenda items only. Anyone in the audience?
There's just one fella still here, but I don't think he has any further public comments.
Okay, nothing online, I assume either. All right, okay. Hearing no other business, I will take a motion for adjournment.
We moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
ladies.